Debbie Adler, thank you so much for joining us on the Plant Trainers podcast today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Shoshana.
I'm very excited to have you on. I know that today, the day that we're recording, is a really big day for you. But before we begin and start to talk, I'd love to know if you have a moment of gratitude to share with us and the listeners.
Yes, I am grateful for my son because without him, I wouldn't have started on this food journey of whole food plant-based cooking and learning, as well as my animal activism, which came about because he wanted a dog. And once we did get a dog, I became just enamored with all animals and started to be so empathetic to all the animals. So it's because of my son that I have found my purpose.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful when our children can teach us,
right?
When we become parents, we think that we need to lead the way in all ways, but it's amazing how they end up really influencing our life.
Exactly. Yes, that's what happened.
So were you into cooking before you became plant-based? Which came first, the tofu or the soybean?
I own a bakery, and I started my bakery in 2005. So I wasn't whole food plant-based then. I was vegan, but not whole food plant-based. I really wanted a sugar-free dessert. I was hungry and I wanted a sugar-free dessert. There weren't any at the time. In 2005, they had sucralose and all the sugar-free things, not any of the things we have now. So that was the beginning, was me starting a bakery that was sugar-free and vegan. And then after my son was born with severe and life-threatening food allergies, I was introduced to the China study, and that started my journey of whole food plant-based. So that was 2009. And I realized, wow, in addition to being vegan, I have to leave out the oil and the salt and the sugar. So that was new. And I figured out how to do that. And the publisher of the China study ended up publishing my second cookbook, which was Sweet, Savory, and Free, which was my first savory whole food plant-based recipes. And so that was really my journey, was the bakery, my son having the allergies, reading the China study, and then learning about the whole food plant-based lifestyle.
That's a great progression. And I think a lot of our listeners have taken that same progression. They've either gone vegan for the animals or vegan for their health. And then you start to peel back the layers and understand the way that oil affects our body, the way that sugars affect our body, and start to clean it up from there. So that's very relatable. And I'm sure, I'm sure that lots of people are shaking their head right now. So was there a reason why you went vegan in the first place? And what kind of changed in terms of your health and your son's health as you went through these progressions?
Well, I just never liked meat. That was pretty much just something I never liked. My grandfather was a kosher butcher, and so there was always meat in the freezer. And growing up, I never liked it. Of course, I ate it because that was what my mom served. So being vegan was very natural for me, just because I didn't like meat. But then it evolved to wanting to be healthy, then now not wanting to hurt animals, not kill animals. So that was the progression for me. And so now I'm just very passionate about all the aspects, the health, not hurting animals, and how it affects the planet.
Beautiful. And did your son's allergies change, or did he just start to avoid the allergens?
Well, for the first 10 years of his life, he had to avoid them. There was no cure. But, and then of course, that was very hard because we couldn't go to restaurants. We couldn't go on a plane. Going on to a party was very scary. We had to bring him food, so our lives were very limited. But when, when he was 10, the Stanford Hospital and UCLA Hospital came up with a protocol that would give the kids with these allergies a little bit of their allergens, and all at a time. Like if they have multiple allergies, they could do multiple allergens by giving them a drug ahead of time. It was Xolair, which is an asthma drug, but they realized if they gave it to these kids with the allergies, they wouldn't react so much if they gave them multiple allergens at once. That was the whole thing, because you don't want to spend years and years and years of your life taking time to desensitize to each allergen one at a time. So this was a breakthrough, and my son got into the clinical trial, and he was able to get rid of they don't want to call it a cure, but he was able to desensitize to his allergens so that he can have them and not anaphylax. I mean, he may get a rash or maybe have an itch, but he doesn't anaphylax anymore, thank God. I mean, he still takes his EpiPen where he goes, but never has had to use it since he was 2, thank goodness. And so that was the journey. So now we can go out to dinner, we can, go to a party, not worry so much, go on a plane, not worry so much. It's like a burden has been lifted.
That's great. I mean, it's very scary for a parent. I have a shellfish allergy myself, which in a way I don't really need to worry about anymore, but I do worry about cross-contamination. And I was getting allergy injections when I was a teenager, and I remember having a reaction to the medicine that they gave me to kind of bring down that reaction. And I had this adverse effect there, and then I refused to ever get any of the injections again. But you learn how to be careful, and you learn about cross-contamination.
Right.
So let's move back to food for a little bit and kind of celebrate what's happening in your book. What do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions that people have about a whole food, plant-based plate in front of them?
Right. I think the biggest misconception is that they think it's not going to taste good, or that they're going to eat salad and what can I eat and am I going to get enough protein? That's the biggest misconception. Like, where do you get your protein? I've heard that so many times. And what people don't realize is that the protein is actually in the plants. Because when you eat meat, you're eating the plant that the animal ate. So, cows chew on grass. And so when you eat steak, you're getting the protein from the grass, not the cow's meat per se. So the misconception is you need to eat meat to get protein. So that's not how it works. You get the protein from the plant. That's where our protein comes from. That is the biggest misconception. If everyone understood that, I think our lives would change. Everybody's life would change. And then, of course, people don't know what to make. They just don't know what to make if there's no steak or fish on their plate. And so I would say if at first you need help, that's okay. Look at recipes, go online or get some books and see how you create a plate that doesn't have the typical conventional, steak, vegetable, potato type of meal. You could make delicious lasagnas and moussakas and whatever, noodle dishes. I mean, the sky is the limit, as and just go crazy. And of course, it takes time, make 1 or 2 at first, and then build from there.
Absolutely. And I think people don't realize that they are already eating a lot of things that fall into that category. They might need to eliminate salt or oil from it, but a lot of their side dishes that the general population are used to eating can very easily be made plant-based or is plant-based already. So You're not giving everything up. You're actually opening up yourself to a wider variety, because you're going to start thinking outside the box.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I say. Yeah, there's more abundance and you have to be creative, and there's so many ways to do that.
Definitely. So when you're getting creative, how are you getting that flavor without adding a lot of salt? I was out for dinner the other night. Actually, it was lunch the other day, and one of the ladies at the table had nacho chip and put so much salt even on that nacho chip. So that says a lot about her taste buds and what's going on inside her mouth. But for people who are used to that or don't want to be used to it anymore, how are you flavoring the dishes so that they still taste really good?
There are many different ways you can flavor your food, and that includes using vinegars, using juices, using zest, herbs, spices, a little bit of miso. It's so fun. I do a course where one of the videos is a whole video on how to flavor your food without salt. And it's just like endless. Lemon juice has a saltiness to it that if you just squeeze lemon on something that you want to salt, let's say, you will be just as satisfied because it's going to taste salty. Yeah, it'll be a lemony too, but lemon juice has that salty taste to it, and it's so much healthier. So you just have to get creative with it and look in your pantry and see what herbs and spices you have. Get flavored vinegars. Dr. Michael Greger is famous for his vinegars. You should see his pantry. He shows it on one of his videos. It's like every vinegar he has, it takes up half his house, and he has every flavored vinegar in the world in his pantry. And so he uses that, and it's so interesting. It's so creative. They do curry vinegars and teriyaki vinegars, and so good. I have some too.
That's super interesting. So if someone were to make a really great salad dressing, but there's salt in it, what would you suggest they do if they wanted to try to make that particular salad dressing taste great without the salt?
Well, if you just want to remake the recipe, I would add a little bit of miso, like white. It's what do I use? I use a mellow white miso. That's my favorite because it's mild, but still adds a little saltiness. So I would add that, and that's okay. Dr. Michael Greger says that that's okay to use a little miso, and that's what I use to replace salt. I know there are salt replacers. I don't use those. There's nothing wrong with them. I just haven't really looked into that yet, but there are salty substitutes.
What about cutting back on some of the water, but raising the amount of lemon juice and vinegar that's in there? Do you think that can equal out?
Yeah, I think
try
so.
maybe.
But you have to try it, and it may be too lemony. You have to really see what your taste buds are, or what you want it to taste like. If it's too lemony, it may not taste good. So you have to see for yourself what will taste good to you. But yeah, you can try that.
Awesome. So I'm going to try that, and if it works, I'll let you know. But
okay,
I'll let you know. So tell us a little bit, what is the Mediterranean plate?
So it's a whole bunch of different recipes that of ethnic cuisines from Greece, from Spain, France, Israel, Lebanon, Syria, all the Mediterranean countries that they usually use meat and fish. And so I wanted to create something from those, types of cuisines that was whole food plant-based. So no oil, no sugar, no salt, obviously no animal protein. And so recreate a lot of those recipes and make them whole food plant-based. So that's what the Mediterranean plate is. And so I've come up with the moussakas and the pasta dishes and the different spreads, muhammara and hummus. And so everything we've known that we love about Mediterranean food, I do it without the detrimental ingredients.
And that's your latest book, right? That's the one
that's
coming out today, the day
today.
We're recording.
Yes, yeah. I'm recording, yes.
Awesome. And so what's your favorite recipe inside that book?
Well, the muhammara is a red pepper spread that is so delicious. I can't even describe it if you've never had it. It's like a sweet, savory and sweet, like hummus, but it's with red pepper and walnuts. So it's combined. It's smooth, and you just have it with vegetables or on chips or whatever, seed crackers. I just find it or on a salad even, I just find that very satisfying. I have a moussaka with mushroom bechamel sauce. That's delicious. That could even be a holiday dish for people if they don't know what to make, if they don't, want to make turkey. That's a very good main dish that's very hearty that people will love. I have some dessert recipes in there, like a Greek biscotti that's very good. It's regular biscotti, but it has toasted sesame seeds and zest of orange. that makes it Greek. That's what's known in the Greek world, is that type of biscotti. Like I can't even, I can't, it's like your children, you can't pick one that you
I know.
so it's all good. And I guess people have different favorites, that they are drawn to.
And what inspired this genre of cooking for this cookbook?
Well, I know that Mediterranean is very popular. Everyone loves Mediterranean food. And I wanted to show people that because people think that, oh, you can't have Mediterranean food without having fish and oil, olive oil. I wanted to show people you don't need the olive oil. You don't need the fish. You don't need the meat. They think of lamb. You don't need all that. You figure it out. You use lentils for meat and make a meatball. You use like a carrot juice or vinegar for your olive oil. You don't need the olive oil. People think olive oil is healthy. It's not. So just trying to re-educate people on food and show them this is delicious. You don't need to clog your arteries to eat really delicious food.
So tell us a little bit more about how you respond to someone who says, but well, olive oil is good for you.
Oh gosh. Well, yeah, I know we're so brainwashed thinking, well, first of all, it's a refined oil. So as you know, any refined oil is first of all, it has empty calories. That's number one. You're eating like even 1 tablespoon has like 120 calories. So who needs that? It's empty. No, you're not getting nutrition from that. And number two is it's clogging your arteries. You're literally clogging your arteries with olive oil. It's the same. And people think it's healthy. It's not. It's clogging your artery. You could still get a heart attack if you continue to eat like that. So they could do their own research if they don't believe me. It's hard to fight with people who have certain ingrained beliefs. I know. So I don't try to push it. It's like, okay, do your research. And choose what's good for you, but that's the research that I've read.
Absolutely, and we're 100% agreeing with you there. And I think that it's just so much more fun to eat those extra calories in food that you can chew than just swallow it down with the rest of your food. So that's another thing to think about over there. So if somebody wanted to get started with a whole food plant-based diet today, maybe like you, they're already vegan, they're already doing the no meat thing, how would you recommend that they tighten up their nutrition and start to eat a little bit healthier?
If they don't know how to do it yet, you mean if they're just starting out and they don't know? Oh, well, I would start with 1 meal a day. And just pick 1 meal, like whether it's breakfast or lunch or dinner, whatever you choose, 1 meal a day for a week. That's it. And I don't want to overwhelm you, because then if people are overwhelmed and they find that it's too difficult, they're going to just quit. So just 1 meal a day, choose one that excites you, and just find a recipe online or in a book that's whole food plant-based, and just make that something you're going to like. And just do that for a week. And then,
I think that's a great idea. Do that for a week and then just start to add from there. And I was just thinking, you mentioned book, and I'm like, there's so many cookbooks out there, but tell us one more time what your cookbook, what people are going to get from your cookbook and how that's different, and let them know how they can get it as well.
Well, so it's the Mediterranean plate. And it's all whole food plant-based and gluten-free, by the way. I didn't mention that. So it's SOS free and gluten-free, because I have a lot of people who need it to be gluten-free. You don't have to be gluten-free if you don't want it to be, but this book is gluten-free. And it's just really delicious recipes that you would conventionally find in a Mediterranean diet, but I figured out how to make it without salt, without oil, without sugar. I did all the work for you, the trial and error, the mistakes that you don't have to make. And then it's on Amazon exclusively. I would get the hardcover because the Kindle, people are saying that there's some glitches in the Kindle, so get the hard copy, just because just because there are no glitches in the hard copy. And I will give you a course with that. So I'm giving away a $200 course. That's every recipe in the book. I teach you online in a video how to make each recipe. It's me in my kitchen, and we make, I make it with you online in the video, but the course is yours for life. If you can't see it right away, it's there. It's going to be in your library. Just email me the receipt to debbie@debbieadler.tv, and I'll grant you access to the course so that you can, if you have a question, you can look at the video and say, oh, that's how she does it.
Perfect. So I'm just writing that down.
Debbie
Debbie Adler.
.tv. Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, we're going to put that in our show notes along with a link to the book and some other great ways to find out a little bit more about you and what you do. So that will be over in our show notes at planttrainers.com. Debbie, thank you so much for being here today, for inspiring us. I have to go upstairs and make dinner now, and I'm like, can I change my plan? Because moussaka sounds really good. I just don't think I'll have enough time to get it on the table right now. But it does sound deliciously yummy, and I'm in the mood for Mediterranean food for sure.
Oh, good. Okay, then I did my job. Okay. Thank you, Susanna. I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
No problem, Debbie. Take care.
Bye.